So this is just a short introduction to action research to help you begin to understand some of the main principles before we have our session together. And action research was first developed within industry really to help people begin to make their firms better. And normally it focuses around developing a particular idea, perhaps developing a particular resource, or even creating new practice. And therefore, if we're trying to do these various things, we need to have some kind of process, begin to think about how we might do it. And this is a way of looking at action research that was developed by somebody called Andy Townsend. What he argues is that we should start by refining a focus. We might have an idea of what we want to change. Action research is all about creating change, but we don't want something that's vague. We don't want something that is very broad. We want to have a very clear focus on which we begin to do some work. Once we've got our focus, the first thing we do is we conduct reconnaissance. And conducting reconnaissance is actually about finding out what's happening already by using questionnaires, by talking to people. We're spending time understanding the situation as it is. And once we've done that, we then need to reflect on the progress that we've made. Do we understand the thing we're attempting to change? Do we understand what the issues are and how we might go around it? And if not, we need to go and do more reconnaissance. Once we do think that we have a good idea of what's going on, we then need to plan for change. What will the intervention look like? What will the new idea look like? How are we going to design the new resource? Or what is the new practice going to look like? And when we're actually planning for change, we should also think about the kind of evidence and data we might collect to show whether it's worked or not. Once we have this, we then implement the change that we've created and observe what happens. And that includes collecting data. And then having got evidence and data and seen the change that we've implemented, we then need to reflect on and begin to evaluate the change that we've created. Has it worked well? Has it worked a little bit? Has it not worked at all? And doing this evaluation may then lead us to a new focus, or to actually begin to look at our focus even more, to begin to really understand what's been happening. In terms of doing action research, we can work in lots of different ways. The first one is something called collaborative action research. This is where we work with other colleagues on a common problem to see whether we can develop a better system or a better way of working or a better resource. The second is something called participatory. And this is where we actually work with a big group of people. So in a university context, we might actually work with the students as researchers rather than doing research upon them. Or finally, we can do it individually, but obviously this gives us less chance to discuss our ideas. So what I'd like you to do ahead of the session is just to have a bit of a think and do the bit of reading that I've sent you and come to the session with some initial ideas around these three things. First of all, decide on a focus in your own context that you would like to change. Is there something in the work that you do that you'd like to improve or change or try something new with? In doing that and doing action research, who would you involve and how? So who would work with you perhaps? And then finally, what evidence or data might you collect in an attempt to help you begin to understand the change that you've created and how well it's worked?